Well, hey there, welcome back to Kev's Chan. So today I decided to take a hike in the local conservation area and just kind of do a few little points on safety and hiking. First off, you kind of want to have a good pair of hiking shoes. These are not exactly the greatest, they're steel toe shoes, but they do have good tread on them and they are waterproof. So that's a good thing. It's going to keep me my feet dry. One of the main things that you want to pay attention to when you're hiking in an area like this is that you kind of want to stay on the trail. And now I'm a little bit off the trail, but in order to get this shot without a huge amount of wind, I kind of had to do that. But I've been very careful in where I'm stepping and just making sure that I'm not creating an extra trail. You just want to keep the conservation area to what they designed it to be and not, make anything extra of it and destroy any extra area in there. Another huge safety thing, as you see behind me here, we've got a pond here that's been excavated, and while the ice doesn't look too good to be walking on, I feel like a lot of people would be looking at this and saying, hey, you know what, that looks pretty melty, I'm not going to walk on it. But that's generally an area where people get into trouble in the winter. You kind of want to stay off these things in general, unless you know it's somewhere that's the ice has been tested, it's thick enough, because if you go through that ice, it's going to be very hard to get out, especially if you're by yourself. Another safety thing, you shouldn't be going by yourself. Always go with someone in case something happens. But you can get hypothermia rather quickly. And you want to avoid that, obviously. Nobody wants to be really cold, and nobody wants hypothermia because, you can, even on a sunny day like this, it can be pretty dangerous. Alright, so another quick thing, when you're out hiking and you're out exploring, you want to watch for overhead dangers. Checking out things like this bridge here, it looks pretty brittle. There's obviously a bunch of debris down here at the bottom. I don't know if you can see that or not, but yeah, there's stuff crumbling off of this bridge. And so, if you're going to choose to go under here, just make sure you're vigilant and you're looking out for that. Another thing when you're hiking in terms of overhead dangers is the widowmakers that happen overhead. Basically, that's a dead tree that might have fallen and been caught by another tree, and basically that is it's a huge danger. It could fall at any time, so you also want to be vigilant if you're going to be walking underneath those. Okay, I found something just a couple of feet off the trail that is freaking amazing. I'm going to turn the camera towards it here now, but basically this is an ideal shelter start, and it's not, as far as I can tell, is not man-made at all. If we kind of back up here a little bit, it gives you kind of an idea, this whole viney area thing here. I don't know if it was a place where animals would bed down and stuff. It would make sense to me if I were an animal, kind of get myself a little bit of shelter here. But if you look down in, it's basically this central bush or vine of some sort that's supporting this, and it's kind of all overgrown with more viney stuff and grassy stuff. And if I were looking for a place to bed down in the winter, I would cover this thing in snow, maybe strengthen it with a few more poles, and lay some cedar boughs or other pine boughs in the bottom there, and just bed down, close off all the holes and stuff like that. But this would actually be a phenomenal permanent shelter, and especially if you were to close this off to the point, like in the summer, if all the snow were gone, and you were to close this off after it got all dry, man, this would be a perfect starter shelter for a debris hut. And yeah, again, I think you could move this into a more permanent shelter. You close off that big hole there, and it'd be a neat little place for you to stay if you really needed to or wanted to. All right, so here's kind of another little safety point. A couple of things here, actually. We're on a bridge right now, which is it looks like it's very well maintained. But you got to remember that sometimes in conservation areas, things, you know, bridges, wooden bridges like this look like they're okay, and they're sometimes not. They're rotted, although most times in conservation areas they've got a particular group that takes care of them and maintains them, and so they're usually in pretty good condition. But you still should be careful. You don't want to put a foot through one of these. Again, kind of unlikely, but could happen. The other safety point is, and you can't see it very well back here, but it's a bridge over a, I wouldn't call it super swift, but the current's moving fast enough, and you know, unless you're really careful, you want to stay away from moving water in general. You know, going out into it, especially if you don't know how quick the current is. If your foot gets trapped, you know, you're underwater in a second, and unless you've got someone else there with you, or in which even that's a bad idea, because if they go out and they get trapped, they're underwater too, and that's two people in trouble, right? But you don't want to get your foot trapped, because you go underwater pretty dang quick, and unless your foot happens to let go, then you're in trouble. Current will actually keep you down below the surface of the water. Again, I don't feel like this one's too particularly dangerous. Sorry about that. So, on a side note, another kind of safety tip as you're going out hiking and exploring is, if you come across railroad tracks, be very careful. If you have to cross them, do so quickly. You know, we honestly thought that this railroad track was not in use anymore, and we were wrong. Good thing, like, we weren't up near there, so that's a good thing. But yeah, you know, even if you're looking at the track and it looks super rusty, that can develop overnight. That means absolutely nothing in terms of whether the track is in use or not. So, you know, as a general rule, stay away from them if you can. If you have to cross them, do so quickly. Anyways, back to the moving water here. I'm going to come and pick up the camera here, but basically, you know, I don't know if you guys can see there how fast that water's moving, which it's not super fast. I don't find this to be too particularly dangerous. You know, there's no white water, but there again, you can't really tell what the current's doing beneath the water, and whether or not it's going to take you off your feet pretty quick. And that's another thing, is that you don't, you know, especially in this kind of weather, you don't want to be exploring into the creek too much. Man, one thing that absolutely drives me nuts is people come back here, they dump stuff, they litter, and this is just one example here. I don't know what that is. Looks like a plastic bag or something, and there's another blue thing right there. That is super disrespectful to nature. It just sucks for other people trying to enjoy the trail. Usually I will bring back a garbage bag to pick up some of this stuff, but I didn't today. Next time we come out here, I will for sure. Now, hey, check it out. We found some more of these viney plants. Now, these ones are taller than the other ones we were dealing with, but this would also be an area where I would choose to build a shelter of some sort if you know, if I really needed to. You know, I would have to do a lot more work with this one in terms of closing in sides and making it waterproof, but yeah, I mean, this would be another good spot. Also, another really cool thing that I just noticed here is somebody has made a bench out of a stump, and sort of must have cut or routed. Actually, it looks like they cut those slots with a chainsaw. Not that they're very functional, but it makes it look cool, and it's a good use of a stump that's just sitting there. You know, people need to rest along the trail, so that's yeah, really cool thing. All right, another little cool thing that I came across here is these woodpecker holes, and if I'm not mistaken, these holes are probably made by what's called a pileated woodpecker, which is pretty much the biggest woodpecker you're going to find in this area in Ontario, at least as far as I know. The other culprit for these guys could possibly be a downy woodpecker, but I feel that the holes are a bit big and a bit deep for the downy woodpecker here. But yeah, anyways, I just want to show you guys that. This is kind of another safety thing as well. When you see a tree like this that's got so many holes and is riddled with bugs, and it's right next to the side of the path, kind of overlooking the path, you know, just keep an eye on that. And you know, I see that this tree still has some live stuff going on there, but yeah, you don't want that to fall on your head. So this is another quick thing I wanted to point out to you guys around moving water, is that when you walk up to the edge of it, you may not actually know where the edge is. It may not be so visible. If you look there, there's actually quite an undercut under that ice layer, that snow layer that was there. And that can also happen into the dirt on the sides of the river. And you know, you think you're stepping just onto the edge and you're pretty safe, and then all of a sudden the edge falls out from underneath you and you're in the water. Not so good. So yeah, be careful about those things. Hey guys, so check this out. We're just going by the bridge that we were on before, and Sarah found a really cool looking cocoon that was over here, and she's taking a picture of it, and we see this box here. Now, I don't know what this could possibly be. Might be something really interesting. It might even be a geocache. So we're gonna check that out and see what it is. All right, so we've got this this box here, and it's covered in black duct tape, and we're gonna open it up and see what's in there. It looks like it's a Tupperware container, and holy cow! Look at this. It is a geocache. Now, we did not check this out before we got here. So we had no idea that there was a geocache here, and yeah, super cool. So inside we've got like a snail shell here. We've got some magnets right there. It's for the Quinte Conservation Area there. Yeah. There's a pen and a logbook so that we can sign and say we're here. Now, so the traditional thing to do with one of these guys is you take something. If you take something, you leave something, right? So we're gonna take one of these fancy little magnets that we found here, and we're gonna figure out something to leave. All right, guys. So yeah, we found this geocache, and we've signed it here. We've put the date on it, and I also said, hey, check out finding this geocache at Kev's channel on YouTube. So yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to place this logbook back in here. We've checked out everything, and there's not really a whole lot else in here other than the magnets and the snail. So I took one of the magnets, and again, as is tradition with the geocache, you know, if you take something out, you leave something. And so I didn't really have anything else to leave, but we're gonna put some Canadian Tire money in here. Maybe somebody will find some use for that at some time in the future. Anyways, yeah, we'll put this stuff back in here along with the pen. We're gonna make sure that this is closed up nice and tight, and we're gonna place it back where it was. And it's important that it is exactly where it was before, because when people are looking for these, they've got GPS coordinates, and they are they're looking in those specific coordinates. So we're gonna place it right back here underneath the bridge where it was, and yeah, hopefully the next person finds it and enjoys it as much as we did. All right, so last thing in closing here, ladies and gentlemen, on trail safety in general, you know, you want to make sure you have a couple of things with you. Proper tire, something, you want layers, especially in the winter, that you can take off if you're getting to the point where you're sweating. You don't want to sweat, that makes you cold, and then that's no fun. You're miserable, you're putting yourself at risk for hypothermia if it continues. Another thing, you want to make sure that you have enough time to do the hike that you're going to do. Yeah, I've been keeping an eye on the sun, I've been keeping an eye on the time, and right now it's at 2:30, so we've got lots of sunlight left. We could do more hiking, but unfortunately we're done for today. But yeah, you know, just make sure you keep a good head about yourself when you decide to go out and walk around these areas. Mother Nature is very unforgiving, and you know, can hurt you pretty quick. So anyways, thanks for tuning in today, guys. I'm going to put a link to my Twitter down below. I will also link the video on there, and also I'm going to do just a separate short video where we found a geocache along the way, and I'll link that video in the description below as well. So again, thanks for tuning in, guys, and have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.